Hello, everyone, and welcome to InvenTank, the show for inventors where I'm joined by a special guest host each and every week for some fun conversation and to help answer all your burning invention questions. I'm your host, Lisa Lloyd, and we're streaming live today, or you may be catching one of the replays on Spotify, Amazon Music, or iHeart, among others. InvenTank is made possible by the Invention Accelerator, helping inventors to skip the painful and expensive learning curve and invent wow products, protect them properly, and get them in front of the right people at the right companies to pitch like a pro for license. If you would like to join any of our live shows to ask your burning invention questions, then please go to theinventionaccelerator.com to join our mailing list and get notified on where and when you can join us live to answer your questions as well. So in a moment, we're going to begin taking questions. Feel free to drop them in the comments at any time throughout our program. But first, I'd like to introduce you to my special guest host today, Ava Seavey. Ava is the founder and president of Avalanche Creative Services. She's known for her innovative, out-of-the-box thinking, which is great for us inventors, and one of the most dynamic and energetic marketing executives in ROI advertising. We're going to talk more about that in a second. For the last 20 years, she's been an executive in marketing and media production. She's fluid in all media types and unafraid to embrace controversy and risk in order to achieve excellence for her clients. She's produced hundreds of commercials and infomercials, and in just about every kind of category that you can imagine. She's generated over $1 billion in sales. Wow. Welcome, Ava, to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
And happy birthday. Oh my God. Woo! You all can help me celebrate
today.
When I invited her, she said, yes, that would be a great way to spend my birthday. And I was surprised because most people would say, no way, it's my birthday, I'm going out. And she wanted to celebrate it with us here today. So I'm so grateful for that. I have never heard of ROI advertising. I hear direct response advertising. And you also mentioned brand response advertising on your website and on LinkedIn. So tell us a little bit more about how those phrases came to be. Did you make them up?
No, I did not. I wish I could take credit for it.
They're brilliant.
So ROI advertising is basically return on investment advertising. When a marketer wants to market directly to a consumer, whether it's a product or a service, it could be a service or it could be a hard good. They're looking to have a return on that advertising spend. They're looking for it to be hopefully self-liquidating, meaning if you spend $1 in media, you're getting $1 back. If you're spending $5, you're getting $5 back. Hopefully, you're making a little bit more than what you're spending. But basically, the type of advertising that I've been involved in for the past 20 plus years, you're under the microscope. The clients are looking at every dollar spent and how much is made. And whatever the KPI is, so whether they're looking at conversions, links, link clicks, likes, cost per click, whatever they're looking at, cost per call, if you're running on TV and you have a call center and they're phoning in to order product. So it's a very, it's a type of advertising that is very accountable. It's very transparent. And you're basically sending the numbers to the clients on a daily or weekly basis on how is it doing. And for inventors and entrepreneurs, people that license your products are licensing products they're excited about and thinking that they're going to get a nice return on investment.
Right.
Brand response is a term that kind of came into being in the past several years. So we've often advertised for brand name clients that might have products at retail, but they're also doing a direct response campaign to drive brand awareness.
Like Scunsy, because you were talking about Scunsy before we came live, right?
Exactly, like Scunsy. So Scunsy, we for those who don't know, I produced a TV commercial probably about 20 years ago that Lisa's products were actually in.
We didn't know each other at the time. This is totally coincidental. Yeah.
So I was very active. My background had been doing a lot of work in the health and beauty specifically hair and skin, working on big brands like Revlon, Estee Lauder, L'Oreal, big brand companies. And so we produced a commercial which educated consumers about this particular brand, but we also wanted them to take an action via calling a phone number, going to a website, whatever it is. And so that it was considered direct response advertising, even though it was a brand that was in retail. And we've often done this for a lot of nutritional supplement advertisers that are for sale in, Walmart, CVS, whatever. But we're also looking to get a lift by selling directly to the consumer via either a commercial or a video, depending on the category. So we're looking to try to make the media self-liquidate if possible.
Okay, so for someone who might be overwhelmed by all the new words that they're not used to in this part of the business, direct response is anything where there's like a call to action. It requires a response from and that could be in print, it could be digital, it could be television, radio, billboards, newspapers, like anything, right?
Anything that's a call to action. And what the great thing about digital advertising now, it's almost like it's the infomercial of now. So TikTok, for example, is, you're doing videos where you're expecting a result. So you either want them to click, you want them to go to a website, you want them to order, but there's a call to action. So whether it's Facebook, Instagram, I'm sure a lot of you have seen ads on your own feeds on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. That's all direct response advertising, all of it. Right. Same TV, radio. Radio could be a podcast, it could be audio streaming, or it could be terrestrial, it could be satellite. So all of these are direct response vehicle. TV is a big one, and OTT, so the streaming television in addition to the cable television networks. That was kind of the forerunner in the old days when we just used to do TV and nothing else.
Right. And it was late night, 2:00 in the morning.
It was the forerunner. The DRTV was the forerunner of these.
ROI.
Right. And that was the only methodology we had, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Now it's overwhelming how many different jobs, which is great for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, a marketer would need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to launch a product on TV.
Right.
Now, if you can launch your brand in social media and on TikTok and in other vehicles, it costs a lot less money to kind of get out there and be selling. Right. So it's still an investment, but right. If you don't need to start on TV and you can start in other vehicles, it's less of an investment for the marketing company who's licensing your product, or if you had enough money to do it yourself.
Okay,
it's
so
investment.
I don't want to belabor it, but I just want to make sure I understand. So ROI and DR are basically still the same thing, whereas the brand response is really about the KPIs. And for someone who hasn't heard that before, key performance indicators, that's how we measure our success with the data. Mm-hmm. So the KPIs for a brand are more measured by how many people did we get to call for our free information kit or something like that. So you're not getting money per se, you're really just getting the word out about something, or lead gen. Yes?
Yes. But in brand response, you can also be making direct sales. You're So for example, if I have a nutritional supplement that's selling in all of the big box stores, I can still do a direct response campaign because I can be offering something special in the offer. So I'm looking to get those names. I'm looking to build a database. I'm looking to make sales, but I realize it's also driving a lot of retail. So brand response still means you want a response. And you're still going to be measuring. It's just that maybe more people are familiar with your name.
Oh, okay. So it's really just the client is what's dictating whether you're an ROI, DR person or a brand. I see. Okay. Fancy words. Got it. But at the end of the day, the formula essentially is the same.
Correct.
Okay.
Pretty much.
So what are you working on today in this wacky world of direct to consumer type advertising? Especially, you mentioned TikTok. I really want to talk about that some more throughout the program today.
Mhm.
What are you working on?
We're working in a variety of different categories right now.
Okay.
I have NDA, non-disclosure, signed with most of my clients, so I won't mention the actual names of the products that we're working on and the services. So we're working on what I call lead gen, which is generating a lead for a product or service. And we're also working on direct sale advertising. We're expecting a customer to come and make a purchase either on a website, on Amazon, or we're other platforms. And we have campaigns running right now in podcast in the beauty category, in TikTok, in the fitness category, in the housewares category, in the nutritional supplement category. We have things running on Facebook for housewares and beauty and other categories, and certainly on TV as well in a variety of different categories. So it's, I can say, a difficult time for ROI advertising. We're seeing the results of the recessionary behavior with consumers right now. So for anybody who's in the process of inventing or, fine-tuning whatever their inventions are, things that save people time and money in any economy are great things to look toward. Those
Okay.
items, whether it's a service, a product, whatever it is, would be looked on very, very positively because of the times we're living in. And there's certain things that trend as well. Like when the pandemic first happened and no one was going anywhere, the in-home fitness category
blew up.
It blew up.
Yeah.
And it blew up for a year and a half or so, and then it kind of declined.
I bet there's a great business there for someone who wants to resell all that stuff on Facebook Marketplace or whatever now, right? Everybody bought it and now they want it out of their house again.
Yeah. So things, it's important when you're creating product to stay on top of the trends. What's going on in the country? What's going on in the world? What's going on, with consumers? We focus mostly on the US right now. So what's going on with US consumers? What kind of, how deep are they going to reach into their pocket? How much are they going to pay to solve a problem?
Mm-hmm.
In the type of advertising that I'm involved in, it's always, what is the problem? Here's the solution.
So Avalanche is the creative services side, and you partner with other, not just the clients, like the brands and that you're performing the services for, but the production company. Is that outside of you, or how does that work?
We're the production company.
You are. And so you create all of and then do you also handle helping set up the fulfillment for the client and all of that as well? Tell us more about those services and how that works so that we can talk about what you're looking for to license. That's where I'm going.
Okay. Yes. So it's depending on how large the company is or what kind of staffing they have, we would help advise them as to call centers, customer service, fulfillment, all of that. Mm-hmm. So we have vendors that have been in the industry for many years, and we can help get that set up. We can also help direct them to people that specialize in Amazon or other outlets, because what's happened is everything has become specialized. So, back in the day, 10, even 5 years ago, I was helping people with Amazon. That's beyond my scope now because it's become very specific and very, there's so many brands on Amazon now that how do you break through the clutter? What
a competitive difference. Yeah.
Right. So if a client has the internal capabilities to manage this, then we would just be a conduit for the creative process. If the client does not have those internally, we would help set that up for them.
And by helping set them up, what does that mean?
So depending on what the campaign is, we would advise if they need a call center, and we would tap them into call centers or
I
customer
see.
service. Fulfillment, we would help them with that. If they need Amazon, depending on, each job is very, very different. So
Right.
something's just going to be, for example, we're only launching on TikTok and we don't need this, and this, then that's all that we'll help them with. And we'll advise, what kind of back end support do they need. They also might need legal support. They might not be aware of claims that they can make either on the FTC, FDA level, or they might not be fluent in marketing. So we would help distill, what's the DNA of your product? What is the most exciting piece about it? And how does that get communicated to the customer? So.
Okay. So, and I'm sure every deal even looks, maybe there's some basis for consistency, but for the most part, every deal is unique in some way based on the inventor, the entrepreneur, whatever, the product, all of those things, right? Their budget.
Correct.
Yeah.
Deal is different. And I mean, yes, every deal is different. So okay. If you're looking for a straight licensing deal, you're basically asking a company to take all the risk, pay for all the advertising, invest all the money in their infrastructure, whatever. So you're basically going to get points in royalties for your IP, your invention, your product. Some companies will even do the manufacturing. If you've already manufactured the product, that would be something that would affect however the deal structure is. So the more skin you have in the game, the different deals can be.
Yeah, the deal structure, the money. When it comes down to the money, the more you put in, the more you get out. That's correct. How it works. If it's successful. On the other hand, the more you put in, the more risk you're taking. You could lose more too. So yeah, that's why I prefer licensing. It's funny. I'm risk averse. All right. So we're getting some questions in here. I'm going to pop up, let's see here. We're going to take them in the order, and feel free to drop your questions, folks, in the comments if you like, as we're going throughout the program. It doesn't have to be relevant specifically to what we're talking about. Anything invention related, we'd be happy to try and help you out with, point you in the right direction. So Silver Fox 933 is saying, at what point will you have to get involved with the Latino market? Thinking there's a conversation behind that somewhere that I'm not aware of. Yes?
Yes. So it depends on the category. So for example, in a beauty brand where you're targeting women, I would advise you to be in the Latino market from
now.
the get-go. There's an interesting statistic specifically on TikTok that 1 in 5 US users is a Spanish speaker. So wow. Whenever we approach TikTok, for example, I always recommend to the clients that you have some Spanish executions, because in very specific categories, health and beauty being like a top one, the Spanish speakers can be even a better customer than an English speaker. So for a beauty brand, a health brand, a fitness type of brand, anything in that category, what I would call like a vanity type of product, I would definitely get in early, very early, for the Latino market.
There's so much data out there to support what to do when with different audiences, and understanding how to mine that data and then apply all of these best practices that you've learned from the direct response 20 years ago evolution,
right,
to this new and constantly emerging markets, different channels that pop up every single day. It must be a lot to stay on top of. No wonder you gave up on Amazon. It's like, I don't even know how you stay up on TikTok. My kids are still trying to get me to do that. And I'm like, I resist.
But even with the Latino market, in the streaming world right now, and the world of TV is changing dramatically. And a lot of the media dollars for direct response TV that used to go strictly in the linear or terrestrial market, which is, the regular cable channels, a lot of that is now being funneled into the OTT or the CTV, the streaming side. And there are very specific Latino channels on the streaming side you can advertise in. So the streaming media is bought a little bit differently than terrestrial, but instead of buying like a network, like going on Telemundo or Univision for Hispanic, you would go to where what are those Spanish speakers watching, and you're basically buying eyeballs instead of a network specific thing. So,
or where are they congregating, right? Like what platform? If they're on Facebook, great. Then we can pull the demos for and target that audience even on the different social channels as well, right?
Right. Actually, Facebook is harder to advertise to Latinos right now.
Really?
They've eliminated a lot of behavioral targeting and the ethnic targeting, so it's easier on TikTok right now than on Facebook.
Interesting.
To reach Spanish speakers.
Wow, that's probably a whole other hour conversation, so I'm not going to ask any questions about that. We'll move on. Randy's asking, does your firm actually do the media buy?
We would.
Maybe you can explain what media buy is for the rest of our audience who may not know what that is.
My firm does not buy TV or radio media. We just buy digital media. So we would buy, for example, if someone's advertising on TikTok, we would buy that media. On Facebook, we would buy that media. On YouTube, we would buy that media. We do not touch TV, radio, or any of the broadcast channels. We have media partners that, many different media partners. Some clients that we work with buy media in-house. Others would need to go to a media firm that specializes, and depending on the length of the campaign, is it a 1 minute, a 2 minute, a 5 minute, a 28, 30? We would be able to source media professionals that would, and in a specific category. So is it housewares? Is it beauty? Is it lead gen? Is it direct sale? So each media company kind of has sweet spots that they work in, or is it OTT or CTV? And that would be a different media company. So there's a lot of specialists in the industry, and I can always consider us as kind of like the spoke in the wheel that turns, and then we have all these spikes out to all of the different vendors in the industry, because I've been doing it for a while and I kind of know who's good at
the specialist. Exactly. Yeah. No, we do the same thing with the Invention Accelerator. So we have that basic foundation. These are the best practices. This is where our sweet spot is. And then if you need a patent, obviously I'm not a patent attorney. So we have those vendors that we know and trust that we've worked with in the past. Same thing. Doug's asking, how is your pricing structured?
Pricing for what specifically?
Your services.
Okay.
I'm assuming. And Doug, if that's not correct, feel free to drop another comment in there and let me know. But I think it's for your services.
Yeah. It's kind of like a restaurant. It's a la carte. So it depends. What meal are you coming in to eat? If you're coming in to have us create and execute something, it would be based on, let's say it's video. Let's say I'm just making it up. Let's say it's a video for social, TikTok, Facebook, whatever. What assets exist? What do you have to bring to the table? If you have nothing, we can create something from scratch, either with shooting, stock footage. It's amazing how inexpensively you can create TikTok videos for it. I mean, I've shot a lot of TikTok videos on this, literally on my cell phone.
And you need to, because if you overproduce it, it becomes less believable, less authentic, I think.
Yeah, no. Yes
in that channel specifically.
Yes and no. But authenticity, especially for TikTok, is really huge. So depending on what needs to be created, or maybe you already have things that we can work with, assets that exist. And then the media buy is whatever it costs to advertise on those particular channels. And then we would charge a small, monthly retainer, depending on, again, what's
involved.
Are you on? But they're small numbers. They're not like huge numbers. For example, I'll throw out a number to you. If an entrepreneur had a product and it was ready to go to market and he wanted to just advertise directly, I mean, you could literally launch, if you're just launching on one channel, you could literally launch for, $15, $20, $25,000. It's not like hundreds of thousands anymore. So
right.
I'm
It's
just
amazing.
throwing that out there. It could be more, it could be less. Again, just to test the waters to see what you have. But
Right.
if you're looking to launch something for $5,000 or $10,000, that's not going to happen. You're not going to get anyone in the industry to, fall on their sword and like move heaven and earth for those kinds of dollars.
Man, I imagine a world someday where inventors have the ability to use these digital media formats with ROI advertising, because it's so inexpensive to A/B test, split test, do all of this stuff very quickly, very early with 3D printed at a break-even type proposition, where people know that they're part of that early adapter group. Look, we're launching with 3D printed parts, and if this works, then we're going to scale and we'll give you another one for free later. But if you'll buy now at this price, and we get this even break-even proposition to early test and sell our products, we wouldn't have to license, because that's so much more manageable for an inventor. It takes so much of the risk out of it.
But when you have, for example, one of the companies that I consult with is Lifestyle Products Group, which is a great company. And they would literally create a licensing situation with an inventor where the inventor has like no out of pockets at all. They take all the risk. They take the product, they deal with the legal, they deal with patents,
absolutely everything.
They can help
manufacturing.
Non-take over manufacturing in certain situations, but they're a very exciting, honorable company, because I know there's been companies in this arena that haven't always treated inventors right, and that's why I'm honored that I work with a company that it is honest and has integrity. They're very selective about what products they want to get involved with, but once they're in, they're all in.
So let's talk about that for a minute. What are the ideal? We'll talk specifically about Lifestyle, since this is a company that you're partnering with, and you are currently scouting for products.
Currently looking for,
right?
Yeah.
And that could be maybe something you've been making and selling for some time and have all of the case studies and evidence for that supports it, or it could be a brand new idea. But ideally, what are the types of products or the characteristics of an ideal product for that company?
Well, there's several things. One is we look, if it's a hard good, we look for a product that has at least a 5-to-1 markup. So we look at the COGS and what the MSRP is going to be. So we say, okay, if the COG is $5, we know we need to sell this for at least $25 within our model. We're looking for a wow, something that solves a problem. It's demonstrable. So if it's a cooking item, it's like you're cutting through, slicing through.
It dices.
Iron and it's working, or whatever it is. So if it's so something that is easily demonstrable in a video way, it even could be still before and after of some sort. We are looking, we don't necessarily have to see a specific track record, but it's good if there's some sort of proof of concept that exist on the product, if there's any kind of market research that the inventor has done. So let's say you're inventing a product that does X. Well, what can you bring to the table as far as who are your competitors? What are they charging? What is the landscape for this type of product? So sometimes people show us products and we go and we look on Amazon and there's 12,000 different products just like this on Amazon. So that's why we've become more selective and trying to find things that are really unique in the marketplace. And it's hard to do that because there, almost anything you look at, there will be something like it out there. Right. But, I love how entrepreneurial and how creative the inventors are, because they're constantly thinking, what is not out there?
Right.
That could be so simple. Like oh, it's like one of those things that this is so simple. Why haven't we thought of this before? So what we do on our end is we help simplify the product. So the process, we drill it down and we try to find a way to explain to the consumer in an exciting way, why is this product different? Why is it unique? How does it compare to the others? Why should you go out and buy this right now? So, whether it's launching on digital or television or radio or whatever it is, we're looking for that wow. And how do we demonstrate it? But the numbers have to work too. The other thing that a lot of inventors don't recognize and understand is we always need upsells or cross sells to make the numbers work for us. So if you're inventing something, make sure to have something that goes along with it so that you have a grouping of products. So if you have a hero product, have another, at least one or two supplemental products that would work in synergy with that main product. It's very hard to just sell one thing. And if you are selling one thing, maybe there's a way that you can dial content in so people can subscribe to that content so that you keep the money flowing. So it's not a one-shot deal and goodbye, you're gone. So, you're building a relationship with the consumer. So how do we find things that we can continue that relationship?
Right. When you say it's hard to sell just one product, for anyone that may have missed that, it's not that you can't, because you certainly can, but it's hard to build a profitable business in especially in direct response, but any kind of profitable, sustainable business off of a one-shot type.
I'll give you a perfect example in today's world. Peloton, who most of you have probably heard of.
Yes.
They were selling this very expensive bicycle.
Yes.
But they realized we have to sell subscriptions to the content so that when the people are working out, they're paying us monthly fees. We're being like a Netflix here,
right,
and getting these monthly subscriptions. And that's more where their business is heading towards, is
right,
selling the subscriptions. And so that's an example of, we're not just selling a bike. Now we want you to buy into the content as well.
Yeah. We used to always say, sell him the razor, or give him the razor, sell him the blades, all of that. That's
exactly right.
Yeah,
and you're selling the, you're selling the razor so you can sell the blades.
Yeah. Yeah. If for those of you who maybe came in a few minutes late, we're talking to Ava Seavey, and her website, if you'd like to learn more about how you can submit a product for direct response or ROI advertising or brand response advertising, then go to avalanchecreative.tv. You'll be able to connect with Ava there and submit any ideas or products that you might have for direct response. Let's go back to our questions here for a second. So Randy's asking, what is the typical royalty for a full license arrangement?
Oh boy.
Is there a typical? Or is there a sweet average spot kind of thing?
I don't know that there's a typical, I've seen everywhere from 3% to 10%, depending on, is it a fully developed idea? Like what are the out-of-pocket costs? Who's doing the manufacturing? Like how far down the trail are you? 10% is very high.
Very high, yeah.
That is not something that I think would be in the realm of reality, but I have seen as high as that.
So if it were someone, I'll paint the avatar for you and you tell me what you think, estimate. And no one's going to hold your hand to the fire on this at all. I understand it's different for everyone anyway, but an average inventor doesn't have the money or the wherewithal to build and test. Most of them may have a prototype, but even more likely, if they come from me, then they have a prototype. But if they're not my student, it's very possible they haven't even done a prototype. They've just done maybe some 3D animation in a cell sheet. So in that scenario, without having done anything else, if it's obvious to you that it will work and do the job that it says they're saying it will do from the animation, what kind of a royalty rate would that type of person expect to get in range?
Yeah, if it's a patented product or a patent pending product that is being manufactured in China, let's say,
Or would be.
right, and no manufacturing is done, so the company is going to have to come to the table with all of those out-of-pocket costs, and so basically,
Actually, no, because unless you're telling me you won't talk to someone that hasn't done that, most inventors can't even get that far,
right, I understand.
right?
Yeah,
So,
I would probably, right, I understand what you're saying.
yeah,
It would probably be under the 5% range in that
right.
case.
Closer to 3, maybe.
Maybe 3 to 4.
Yeah.
If they have an idea and they've done the CAD drawings and they have, some sort of, IP that they own,
Mhm.
and they have a prototype.
Okay, that's perfect. That's great. So
I would
y'all heard it.
range. That would be a range.
Lowest range around 4% if you're really, really early stage. The more developed you are, the higher the return on that investment will be.
Correct.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for helping me dig into that a little bit. I love this question, Silver Fox. If Netflix starts to stream commercials, will this be another good DR outlet?
Yes. And Netflix is going to start because they concluded a deal with Microsoft. And so based on the articles I've read, there will be a tier structure on Netflix where you can pay more money to not see ads, and
Kind of like what YouTube is doing right now.
yes, and less money to see ads. Yes.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
Netflix
Hulu does that.
yeah, Netflix will become like Hulu and all of the other streaming channels that do have advertising. And yes, it will be, however, I can say that in the CTV OTT landscape, the pitch is different, the lengths are different. They're generally 30-second and 15-second spots, and they're generally drive to web. Some are using QR codes,
Yeah.
but they're not DRTV in the terrestrial sense where they have a phone number and that, so they would be more almost brand types of ads that are driving people to take an action, either to a website or Amazon.
So it's almost like permission marketing. I'm asking you for permission to tell you more about my product. So please go to my website so I can show you this video about it.
Yes, right? Yes, and the interesting thing about that is then there might be a more substantial infomercial type of video on the website.
Get there. Yeah, exactly.
So instead of having, a 30-minute infomercial running on TV and then going to a website and having a little 1-minute teaser, you're kind of reversing it. So you're having a 15 or 30-second spot, you're driving them to a website, and maybe the website has a 5-minute or longer video explaining the product to you. So it's kind of reverse engineering.
It totally reminds me of funnel building. It's just a different perspective of the same concept. You're funnel building, right? So interesting, moving people closer and closer to that buying decision. What I love about the digital media versus the old traditional, because when I was 23 and I had my first invention, I was a sales rep, an ad rep at the CBS affiliate in Tucson. So, and then I had my own radio show, which is actually very similar to what we're doing now. And so, I sold a lot of advertising in that time, and I did work with some direct response as well. But you would sell a program like Oprah based on the demographics that we knew from Nielsen ratings, right? Or Arbitron. So we knew what the audience was, but it was still a hit and miss. Whereas we can get so granular with digital media. That must be fun for you.
It's so fun.
I would geek out on that. Seriously.
When I first started doing Facebook advertising about 12 years ago, I remember thinking, this is the hottest thing that's happened. Since
that's how geeky I am. I have goosebumps talking about it.
Yeah. And so when TikTok came along, and TikTok is not an easy platform, and conversion wise, it doesn't have as robust conversions yet that like a Facebook has, but it's such a new platform, and there's very few DRTV advertisers, ROI advertisers on TikTok. So we're still in a very experimental phase, but to me, it is super exciting because it kind of combines a lot of the great elements of TV, video, and digital.
Yeah.
but it's still so new and it's in development. It's very liquid right now, but it's definitely the place to be.
It's about learning how to fail, right?
Yes.
Fail fast. Let's fail early and fast and figure it out, and not spend a bunch of money failing. Spend little bits here and there testing.
Yes. And that's very easy to do. Back in the day when we would launch everything on TV, we didn't have the luxury of being able to test on Facebook and TikTok or something like that. So you can test different creatives, different marketing messages, different things digitally, so that if you are going to be going out on a bigger platform, you've already done a lot of proof of concept.
Yeah, and if you've qualified that this type of constituent prefers this language over this constituent, then you can actually target that marketing message uniquely. So while this one sees this commercial, this one's seeing this commercial. It's
correct.
I'm telling you, I totally geek out on this. In another life, that's what I want to do.
It's very interesting. TikTok is extremely frustrating. It's demoralizing.
So is inventing.
I mean, I'm a little obsessed. I mean, I go on all of the things like every day, and I geek out a little bit on it, but it's very frustrating and it's hard to do. It's very manual. It's very labor intensive. It's not as easy as Facebook is like, set it and forget it, and it's like Facebook advertising is so easy compared to TikTok, but the reach that TikTok has it's just incredible. It's incredible. So
TikTok just scares me because it's owned by China. That's the only part of it which we're not going to get into that right now. Okay, so Frank, I'm sorry, Doug, I don't want to miss your question. He wants to know if a free 1-hour consultation could help him figure out the cost. So can he go to your website and book a call with you?
I would be happy to give a free 1-hour consultation. Yes, that's fine.
That's awesome. Thank you. Way to ask. Don't ask, don't get. Good job, Doug. I would have just said consultation, but you put in that 1 hour, which tells me you're a good salesperson. That's awesome. Make your ask specific was the moral of the story there. It's good. All right. Frank's asking, hello, can someone from this site call me or reach out to me via, okay. Sorry. I didn't read the question first. I just saw the question mark there. I will reach out to you, Frank, first. Yes. I will make a note of it. And if you want, though, if you don't, you know what? Never mind. I'm taking that back. Go to Ava's website, which we have here up on the site. I'll pop that back up again for you. It's avalancecreativetv.tv. And you can submit through the website, or you can book a call with Ava there.
Actually, can you put his email up again?
I absolutely can.
Sorry, I have my glasses on.
There you go. While you're writing that down, I'm going to read the next question here.
TAAR@msn.com. Okay.
Thank
you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. So RB in Kansas. I like that. RB in Kansas is asking, my goal is getting a licensing deal. Is a prototype needed before I pitch, or just at certain companies? Or do companies like to create their own prototype so they can make it look the way they want?
It's a great question.
It is. I have an answer too, but I'm dying to hear yours first.
We can evaluate a product without having a prototype if there are very specific drawings or that sort of thing. I mean, for my purposes with Lifestyle Products Group, we would generally prefer to at least see a prototype, even if it's not what the final is going to look like, even if it's
a working model.
Yes, just something so we can see, like, touch it, see if it works, like do what it's claiming to do.
Right.
So, a prototype, it's probably not what you want to hear, but we would prefer to see a prototype.
And every company would prefer that, is the answer, right? I mean, why wouldn't they? But the bigger question is, RB in Kansas, why wouldn't you want to test your idea? I know that you believe in your head it works. That's why you went to all the trouble of getting maybe a patent pending on it and doing the drawings and the sell sheet and pursuing the company. But there's nothing that compares to the quality of the creativity that will come out of you starting to actually manipulate and tear apart and put things together. The learnings that come from that, the insights and realization of, new data that shows up in your brain that says, oh, this is what works better than this. And like, I'm working on this barrette thing right now, right? And it pops around and it does all these different things. And I'm learning from experimenting what the best mode is going to be before I even file for a patent. So it's not that I'm getting a prototype for them. I'm doing it for me to make sure I'm coming up with the best possible solution to the problem that I've identified. And it's sexy and it's cost effective. So it meets the cost of goods demand that Ava was talking about with the 5 times markup. I'm thinking about all that before I even protect it.
Right. And another thing I'll add is at Lifestyle Products Group, we're not product developers, we're marketers.
Exactly.
So we have no interest in developing a product from soup to nuts. There are companies that do, and I would be very careful about showing those companies a product that there is no prototype for, because they have been known to steal ideas and manufacture it themselves. We do not do.
Oh, we froze up for a second. I'm sure she'll come back. I will say that in the direct response business, there's a
do that. We would market it. Oh, it looks like we lost video. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, you cut out for just a second there, but you're back.
So we're not interested in being product developers.
Yeah.
What we do is we market we take your brilliant idea and your brilliant product, and we figure out how to parse it out to the consumer. What are they going to want? How do we get this idea out there in the most exciting way?
So the most ideal scenario would be to have at least a functional thing, even if it's ugly.
Yes.
And the mechanical drawings that go with it, so that it's very easy for them to go to the China, whether it's China or wherever, to get it manufactured, so that it's pretty much set up. The light tweaking they can handle.
Yeah.
But asking them to fully develop the product, not so much. Now, what I liked about your question too is, or do companies like to create their own prototypes so that they can make it look the way they want?
No.
Now, it's not that they want to make their own prototype to make it look the way they want. But when you're working with a company, not a direct response company, let's just say it's Procter & Gamble I'll use Scunsy since we started off talking about them earlier today. If you came to me when I was the VP of Biz Dev there, no matter how developed you had it, because we were experts in the business, we just knew that if the teeth were this way instead of this way, it was going to be better. So we were going to make those modifications no matter how advanced, how far in the process you were. But the more complete or the closer you were to that benchmark, the easier the decision-making process was for us and the faster you got to deal with us.
Yes. And sometimes we'll look at something that's in the early development stage, and we'll say, well, yes, we really like this, but maybe you could put blah, blah, blah onto it. So, would a company want to give some input as you're developing? It's that is not an impossibility.
Yep. Wow. Okay. Questions are flying in now. So let's see here. Will you share a link to this recording? Yes, the same place you came to watch us live. It will still be here for the recording, or you can go to YouTube and put in InvenTank, InvenTank, and find all of the replays there at any time from all of our programs. Thank you for asking that. Center for Direct Marketing, glad you're here. Frank is saying thank you. Avalanche licensed products for DRTV. Nella's saying, I think she's asking if you license products for DRTV. The answer is yes.
But my partners that I work with would. Avalanche would not. I would work with a partner like Lifestyle Products Group who would.
And it's in your interest to find great products to bring to them, because you're going to end up doing that creative on all of the work for that product. So it's a benefit, a win for everyone for you to review this. And they've asked you to bring them products also, correct?
Yes.
And do you get paid for scouting? Do the inventors have to pay you anything for putting that product in front of
The inventor would not pay me a dime.
That's what matters. Okay.
Yeah, I don't charge inventors to get their products or to evaluate what they're doing. It's just the cost of doing business, and it's in my interest and my colleagues' interest to find great products. It's funny. It's kind of like when actors are auditioning for a TV commercial and they're all so nervous, and I say, "We want to like you."
Calm down.
So it's the same thing with inventors. Sometimes people are afraid, and it's like, we want to love all the products we're seeing. We don't want to reject products. We want to like it. We want to love it. We want to get excited about it. It's a business where you need a lot of passion to do what we do. You can't be blasé about a product. It's like, well, I'll phone this one in. You have to love the thing you're working on, because if I don't love it, how can I make consumers love it? If I'm not wild about it, how can I inspire that, confidence in a consumer? But so I think sometimes people are nervous and shy and think you're going to get rejected. Yeah, it's like actors. If you do 100, auditions, you're going to get rejected on 99 of them, and then you'll book a role.
That's
it's
right.
kind of like that, and it's not.
And the stock market, same thing. You invest in a lot of different products because you expect only about 2% of them to actually do the return.
But if you don't step up to the plate, you don't have an at bat, so you can't know. And you might get some really interesting insight from somebody who has looked at thousands of products in the past, and they might give you a little tip that could kind of like turn the corner for you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's so good. Wow. Okay. So we've got about 9 minutes left till we have to wrap up here. And there is a little bit of a delay. So make sure you get your questions in early enough for me to see them and be able to respond if you have any left. And before we wrap up, Ava, I just want to keep going with you. So Tracy is asking, I'm so glad this came up. Do the products that you consider to license have to have a provisional patent application? Will past sales be considered if there isn't a patent? Thank you.
No, I would look at a product that was patent pending, or that had some sort of protection. More for us and the inventor. So, and some sort of a track record is great. So past sales would be considered 100%.
Even if you don't have a patent, if you've got past sales, then we don't care about the patent as much anymore.
It's not that we don't care. It's just that it wouldn't be mandatory. It wouldn't be mandatory. It wouldn't be like a hard no.
Right. Especially if there's good evidence to support being in that business.
Right. If there's a consumer want and need, and there's some sort of a track record that consumers want this, that's a very positive thing.
But if they've not been on the market, they should be at least patent pending. Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean, that would be preferable.
Okay.
But, we've done through the years products that didn't have patents.
Didn't even have it. Okay.
And I've also done products that were patented that were ripped off by other companies. So a patent isn't necessarily total protection either. If an idea is that good, we did a commercial a few years back for a product, and not only did another company copy our product almost exactly, but they copied the creative too. They did a commercial exactly like ours. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like, yeah, it happened.
My business model has been stolen so many times that I don't even have on my website what my real offer is. That's how bad my marketing is. It makes it really hard to sell your services when you don't tell people what your services are.
There's unscrupulous people in this industry, so I would urge caution. Again, that's why I love the Lifestyle Products Group people, because the honesty and the integrity. We may not do as many products as some of the other companies, but nobody has to worry, if they work with us. Yeah.
Okay, so I know this we could probably spend a lot of time on, but Randy's asking such a great question. I need to know the answer to. In fact, it was on my list, so I'm glad he asked for me. Ava, what is your biggest hit product so far in your career? Something you're most proud of?
Boy, that's a good one.
And as a quick reminder to everyone who might be just within listening ear, if you would like to reach out to Ava, please go to avalanchecreative.tv. You can book a call there and learn more about what they're looking for and what they can do for you.
One of the biggest recent hits was a infomercial called Omega XL. It's a nutritional supplement that we had engaged Larry King to be our host.
I saw that on your site.
Honestly, that campaign ran like crazy for 8 years until he died. And that's when it was pulled off the air when he died. But that was one of the biggest hits probably, and the longest hit that I've
8 years is a long life cycle for a direct response campaign.
Because that is not the typical life cycle. What
is the typical 2 to 3 years?
You're lucky sometimes if you have a hit for a year now.
Wow.
And it's also, the media is very fragmented. So you could be running in one media for this amount of time and another media. But like if you're running for 6 months to a year, that's pretty good in these times. Okay. Yeah, so 8 years was probably the longest stretch of anything that I had ever worked on.
I mean, I had questions like, I want to know about how and when to work with celebrities. I wanted to learn about podcasting and where that falls on the spectrum of DR these days. I had this whole list, but I'm glad we're getting to these questions from our audience. It's been so active. Maybe you can come back on a day that's not your birthday if you're still willing to.
Happy to.
With me soon. Nella is asking, may we send the product to you for review? I have a sell sheet and video of my product. So when they go to your website, can they just submit that in advance of booking a call, or should they book a call?
I can give you my email address, and it's probably easier. It's you can type it in if you want. Yeah. Ava like my name, Ava S at avalanchecreative.tv. And I'm happy to look at a submission or a video there on through my email. Yes, you can go to the website and hit submit, but if you want to come directly to me, that's my email address, and I'm happy to take submissions.
Ava S, AVAS at avalanchecreative.tv, folks.
Correct. That's correct.
So there you go. And then you can send your stuff ahead of time and see if it's worth booking a call if you like after that. I just want to encourage all of you, please don't waste her time. She's been gracious with it enough for us here, and she's offering to do all of this other stuff for you at no cost. Go to the website first, do your research, make sure that it's a good fit for the types of products that they are currently selling, or that it makes sense for them in some way first.
If they want to look up Life's Products Group also, they could go
Lifetime Products. Yeah.
LifestyleProductsGroup.com.
Lifestyle. Yeah. Lifestyle Products
Group.com.
I'm going to grab that one for us, and I'll put that up on the screen for everyone as well.
Products that they've done in the past, it's quite a wide variety. So, so you can see what types of products have they licensed in the past. Would this be a good fit? I mean, I'll really look at anything, and I'll be pretty candid and pretty honest, and I'm not going to waste people's time.
Well, you say that now, but when you get hundreds of people sending them to you, you're going to kill me. So that's...
If I get hundreds, I would be ecstatic.
Okay, good. Then you heard it, folks. In that case, the floodgates have been open.
Dozens I would love to see. That's...
you're going to get them now, for sure. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, it looks like Randy's saying he saw that commercial too. It looks like that is it for our questions. So as we wrap up here, let me just say, first of all, thank you, Ava. Thank you for doing this here on your birthday and sharing so much valuable insight with us today.
Oh, I want to call out a Facebook group.
Ooh, go for it.
Join. I created a Facebook group about 7 years ago for our industry. So it's people in the DRTV industry. It's called Direct Response Planet, and it's on Facebook. So if you go and you search Direct Response Planet on Facebook, and you're an inventor, an entrepreneur, a consultant, somebody in the industry, and you want to join that group, one of the admins will let you in if they so choose to let you in. But I don't see why they wouldn't. And it's a place where it's like the water cooler kind of for our industry now, where we go, we look.
I'll be there.
Yeah. So that's a little tip for you guys if you want to look.
All right. So I'll pop that up here. It's Direct Response Planet. Just go to Facebook and do a search under groups for Direct Response Planet. Mm-hmm. And as Ava mentioned earlier, if you want to submit a product first compare or take a look at lifestyleproductsgroup.com to get an idea of the type of flavor that they have. Different direct response. Just because one direct response company says no, folks, doesn't mean they all will, because yes, there's a basic model, but different. Some people stay away from fitness. Some people only do fitness. It just depends.
It depends.
Right? Supplements. It's just that it's all different. So take a look at their site, and then you'll know if they're potentially in the right category for you. And the happy birthdays are still coming in. So I'm afraid it's time to wrap up, folks. Special thanks.
Everybody.
Yeah. Special thanks to the Invention Accelerator for making the program possible. If you enjoyed the show today, please help us get the word out by sharing it with your network, your Facebook and LinkedIn groups, or Twitter, or whatever. Help us get the word out. And check us out on Spotify, iHeart, or Amazon Music if you prefer to consume this content on InvenTank by podcast instead. When you subscribe, by the way, to any of those channels, those streaming channels, you help me bring more incredible guests to the show like Ava. So thank you for your support. And thank you again, Ava, for being here. You all have a wonderful rest of your week. Until next week.
Peace out.
Thanks,
nice
everybody.
to meet you, buddy. Bye-bye.